beautiful soul. Welcome to the Quantum Business Queen podcast. This podcast is a vortex for activating wealth, riches, and boss bitches. It is here that I teach multi-dimensional business. Our content will fall under 3 different categories: 5D quantum creation, 4D frequency alchemy, and the most potent 3D strategy. Every aspect of business that contributes to the creation of success is covered here. Plus, I will be personally interviewing the most amazing boss bitches that are at the forefront of the game, paving the way for money, magic, and magnetism in business. Let's get ready to activate all of that within you. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to this week's episode of the Quantum Business Queen podcast. Wow, as I speak to you, I am literally on the way to the airport right now to fly out to Necker Island, and I'm going to need all the good vibes that are out there because my flights are Melbourne to LA, LA to Texas, Texas to Puerto Rico. I stay a night in Puerto Rico to Tortilla Island, and then a boat from there to Necker. Woo! Yeah, you know what? This has been a wild journey, and I want to talk about it because, we often sit in the energy of flow and surrender and let it happen and all of these things. And yes, those energies are important and play a big part in how I manifest. However, I want to tell you that if you want something bad enough, you will make it happen. Full stop. You will make it happen. It's not necessarily about the flow. Sometimes it's about you will make it happen. It was literally, I think, 2 weeks ago now that I was in LA, and this is why this all feels like such a whirlwind. And I want to tell you the story of Necker because I'm sure I'll do a podcast recording whilst I'm on Necker and then probably one after it because I just have a feeling this is going to be one of the most transformative things that I've ever done. I mean, it's one of the biggest risks I've taken. Actually, nothing ever feels like a risk to me. Yes, there are some massive investments to be made. And of course, when you release money and circulate it, you're never really releasing it, you're circulating it. That always does feel a bit scary, but never risky, for me at least. So I was in LA, and you would have heard the story from the last podcast. The opportunity came about, and it is an invite-only thing. This is a very special opportunity, and I will be amongst some amazing entrepreneurs. And, everyone, all the people in our amazing mastermind were like, jumping at the opportunity. They were wanting it like a bunch of piranhas. And I just sat knowing it was mine, It was a combination of divine certainty. This is happening, and I'm going to make it happen. And so, a lot popped up. My friend was like, how you going? You must be so excited for this. And I was like, my nervous system is off the Richter scales right now, actually. And here's why. So I said yes to the journey very late in the journey. Normally it's a year mastermind that leads up to Necker, right? I'm saying yes 2 weeks out. And, it's a massive investment up front. And here's the thing. I always make decisions ahead of my reality. This is why I'm able to make things happen. I make decisions ahead of my reality. So it's like, I don't have all the money to pay all this up front. I'm going to do it anyway. I make decisions ahead of my reality. I might have already told you, when I made that decision, I got a client that night or the next day in the airport. And then the day after that, I got another client. And it's just, I make decisions ahead of my reality that I know are aligned because they felt peaceful, but also had fear attached to them because it was the unknown. And I make things happen. So then, I said yes. 2 weeks out, I had to come up with all this money. The universe did, actually, and the universe did come through in the craziest of ways, like it always does, because I have the ability to make aligned, brave decisions that are ahead of my reality. So my reality didn't give me the evidence that, yes, you have all the resources necessary to do this, Sarah. You should go ahead and do it. No, I never make decisions like that because that's not how one grows. So you have to find a way to be brave and make decisions ahead of your reality. And so the next decision I had was do I stay in LA? Because not only are the flights way cheaper, I'm talking hundreds, which is beyond, I couldn't even comprehend how cheap they were. Or do I fly back to Australia, quadruple my flight time and the flight price, because I need to be with Ella? And for those of you who don't know, Ella's my daughter. You know, and this is the thing, whenever I make decisions in business or in life, and I was saying this to a client the other day, you need to be very, very clear on what your values are. You value connection, you value your family, you value love, you value generosity, you value boundaries. And everything that you do in your life and business, you measure up to your values and allow those values to guide you to make your aligned, brave decisions. When you can walk the path of your values, yes, sometimes it will make your reality a little bit harder, but this is where you make it happen because you want it. This is where you become a force. And this is cool because Natalie, the one coordinating this, she's like, Sarah, you're just a force. And, you know, I was thinking, you know what? I am, because what I ended up doing was my values, my daughter is everything, and she's at the forefront of why I do everything. And I flew back to see her. I didn't want to, not see her for the week and a half or whatever time span it was, because I told her I was going to come home and I needed to do that for her because I was then going to up and leave again. So I came home, and we had the most beautiful time, and Ella's so proud. She's telling all of her friends at school, and all of her teachers are like, is this really true? Is this really happening? I'm like, yep, it's really happening. And so she's very proud, which is super sweet. But that now means, instead of having a flight that was, just hitting $1,000, super, super cheap round trip, I won't even tell you what the flight costs were. They were around $6,000, or $7,000. I can't remember. I think I blocked it out. And instead of having it be like a decent little couple hours to Texas, and then a couple hours then to Puerto Rico, and then 45 minutes to Necker or whatever, or to Tortilla, I'm now doing the trek. But I'm a force. I make things happen. I lead by my values. And yes, sometimes that means it's a harder path, but the harder path is often the highest path. And so this is why sometimes things get hard. You make it happen. Sometimes it's not about flow and ease and grace. And I let flow guide me. For example, like when I was booking those flights, if it was going to be over $10,000 and me having to fly via Spain and do all these crazy things that were way out of the way, to me that's not flow. To me that's not the flow. The flights were in total flow. I'm going in the right direction the whole time. It's the same airline, and that for me is flow. But it doesn't mean it's not hard. And so don't mistake things that are hard for not being in alignment. If you know you want something, you make it happen. You figure it out. You do the hard thing. You align everything that you want against your value system. And if your value system says to do one thing, and that one thing means that you have to do the harder thing, you do the harder thing. But you make it happen. And so, as I speak to you, at the start of my Necker journey, I made this happen. I'm kind of like rewinding in my mind at the very start of when this opportunity was presented. I just sat in my total sovereign energy, and I was like, this spot is mine. I made it happen. And then I had a really hard decision to make in America. Like, I just, oh my goodness, like lost sleep. Do I go home? Do I stay in LA? Do I go home? Do I stay in LA? I went home. And then I made it happen. Whew. So if you want something, don't let it come to you. You need to go and get it. And it does sometimes feel hard. It does sometimes feel like you have to go through things. It does, you may have to let people go. There's things in your reality that may not fit the new thing that you're stepping into. But if you want it bad enough, you will make it happen. And, that is the lesson that I am in at the moment. And I still feel like I'm calibrating to it. Like, my nervous system is still off the Richter scale from having to make that big decision super quickly, having to book flights, having all of this, crazy trek ahead of me, having to leave my beautiful daughter again, even though it's only temporarily. And I know, this journey is so inspiring for her as well. And hopefully I'll be able to use it and talk to, her school and the kids in her class or whatever, just so everyone can benefit from me being in Necker Island. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm doing this. That's one of the biggest reasons why I'm going to run a master class there live, is because I made it happen, and it wasn't easy. And I want as many people around me to benefit from it as possible, and hopefully to inspire as many people around me as possible to know that literally anything is possible. Little old me from a small country town is going to be on Necker Island for 4 days with Richard Branson. I made it happen, though. I wanted it badly, and I've wanted it for a long time. And the path wasn't easy. It was a lot of recalibration, a lot of letting go, a lot of starting over, a lot of hard decisions, a lot of making decisions based off my value system, which led me down a harder path. But the hardest and the best thing are often the same, and that's a song lyric, I think. So, anyway, beautiful soul, I hope this episode inspires you. If you feel like you have a mountain ahead of you, just remember, just do the aligned path, take the aligned path, be brave, and make the decisions based on what your values are. Know your values firstly. If you're starting a business, you must know your value system and operate based on that value system. And if anything steps outside of that, that's where you say no. I'm going to leave you with that. And until always, I cannot wait to see you on the next episode, which who knows, maybe on Necker Island. I'm going to channel that magic into you. Follow me on Instagram because I'm sharing literally the play-by-play of my whole journey. And I will be channeling all that magic, like I said to you, and I cannot wait to see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening today, beautiful soul. I hope you got so much gold and were activated in such a way that you could step into your highest timeline of abundance and freedom, because it is more than possible for you. If that desire has been planted in your soul, it is so deliberate. If you wouldn't mind, please rate, review, subscribe to this podcast so that we can get this message into the hearts and ears of more amazing light beings across the world. I would love to continue this conversation with you, so feel free to get in touch on Instagram at sarah.tynan.quantumcoach. If you're a Facebook person, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Sarah Tynan International. And please don't ever forget, if your desire is there, it's because your destiny is there too. You just have to remember who you are. Bye for now, beautiful.